All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Real Life Fisherman. We're gonna do a how-to video today. Gonna do a battery video, very popular topic on the channel. We actually have this system in our boat, and we also did another video of it outside the boat. So check out those videos if you wanna see that setup. But we're gonna put this system inside my buddy Mike's boat today. We're gonna put in a house battery for him, a dual battery switch, a charging relay or an automatic charging relay, also known as a ACR. We're gonna put in a Noco, one of the new Noco battery chargers, and a charging receptacle for him to plug in an extension cord. We're gonna install a positive bus bar and a negative bus bar, and a fuse panel in there for him. So we're going to completely trick out his battery system in the back of his boat here, and I'll try to go over it with you step by step here as we're installing it, and talk about a little each thing. So stay tuned and see how we install it. All right, so Mike has a tiller sled. He does some guiding out of this boat. So we're going to put the batteries back here. It'll be a little tight. We're gonna have to do some rearranging, but all the batteries, charger, and everything are all gonna fit back here. I'm gonna have to take this back panel off, and we're gonna install the battery switch over here, tucked in out of the way when we get to that. So first off, I gotta take all this stuff out of the way and figure out how we're gonna fit it all in here. Okay guys, this is one of the main reasons that you do want to install a system like this. You don't need the battery switch per se for this setup, but a bus bar or something like that, that's where that comes in handy. As you can see here, Mike has a whole bunch of ring terminals all stacked on this battery. That causes for poor connection. It opens it up for corrosion, and most of the engine manufacturers don't want you to have more than just a few ring terminals on the battery along with their cable. So this is why it's good to expand it and have a bus bar, so that you don't have all these things stacked onto your battery. So we're gonna put that in for Mike today, and it'll be a lot better for him down the road, and for you too. If your battery looks like this, I see them sometimes where you can barely get 1 or 2 threads on the post for the battery nut. That's not good at all, guys. So change that out, put in some bus bars, and you'll be a lot happier down the road. You won't have electrical problems. We're also gonna have to move this battery over to this side to fit the Group 27 in. We're gonna move the cranking battery from here over to there on the other side here. Pet peeve of mine. Battery strap twisted. It's really easy. Just flip the clip around, guys. Come on. Easy way to install these is just clip the battery strap around the tray, and you won't forget it, for one, because that always sucks when you screw it down and then realize you forgot to put the strap on. But keeps it out of the way. So we're going to So it's a Gen 5, or no, it's the Gen 5 version. I have an older model Noco in my boat, but these are the new ones they've came out with, and I like them so far. One other thing about these chargers is they are waterproof. They're small, like I said before, and the new ones have a boost button. So every other battery charger on the market right now, if you were to deplete your batteries to where they were below 2 volts, they won't charge. They'll see the battery as a bad battery. If you know that you've just depleted your battery and your battery is good, you just have a boost function now that you can basically tell the charger it's a good battery. You hold that boost, the button down, and it will go ahead and start charging the battery, even though it was completely dead, where a previous model would think it could be a possibly bad battery and would throw an error code. You'd be charging your battery for days thinking you're going to go fishing with full batteries, and it didn't charge at all because the battery was so dead the charger thought it was possibly bad. So you would have to bring that up. These new ones, you can give it a boost, and they'll take over and charge right through the charger itself, which is an awesome feature, especially for trolling motor batteries. And here's what I'm talking about, guys. That's the size of that battery charger. That's really nice to have in a lot of boats, like especially like this. Almost every boat you're gonna run into tight space. No boat has enough space, it seems like. Never enough storage, never enough room for batteries. It's the life of every boat owner. We are gonna have to mount this out of the way, somewhere where it's not gonna be able to be seen. I don't like having to do that. I like to be able to open a compartment and see the charger. But in this setup, there's nowhere to really mount this thing. The space that is going to be visible through the compartment door here, I'm going to have the bus bars and the charger relay on all of that. So I'm probably even going to have to move this fuel water separator here, possibly. So that's the only place I can really mount anything on this boat. So this is going to have to be tucked out of the way. It's for a house battery and a cranking battery, so it's not really super imperative that you see it. You know it's going to be charged if you've left it on for a couple of days. Not like your trolling motor batteries, where you kind of do more want to see the charger before you go out. These batteries will always charge up pretty quick, especially with the relay that we're going to have installed, the charging relay. When you're running the big motor, it's going to charge both batteries no matter what. So when you get home, both of your batteries are pretty much going to be always fully charged anyway. But this is a good way to keep it healthy, maintained for storage and everything like that. Yeah, so we can't really mount it on this back wall here. Well, I think that'll work. That barely fits in there. The 3/8 nut driver, that barely fits in there for me to be able to. We're gonna through bolt it through the transom. We want to have the heads of the bolts on the outside, so the nuts would be on the inside. Yep. All right, let's do it.
He might be able to reach that through the hatch.
Yeah, he'll be able to see it and operate it through the door here. So that's why I'm doing this. We're gonna use some marine grade silicone there to silicone up those holes in the back of the transom. So yeah, make sure you're using marine grade silicone. I like the Starbright brand. Squirt a little in the hole and then make a nice little mound so there'll be a bead around the head of the bolt. Stuff makes a mess, but I swear it's necessary. You don't put any seize on your stainless steel bolts, it will seize on you, eventually you're gonna get one that seizes for sure. And you gotta cut it off, snap it off. We know where the battery switch is gonna go, and we gotta figure out where we're mounting bus bars. There's rubber grippers. There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. Yes, that's much better. I just stretch my legs out. Stretch. It's more comfortable rolling around on your belly, in the belly of the beasts. Because of the mounting bolts on this engine. A lot of places I can go. They don't give you much play with wiggle room, do they? Thanks, Aluminum. Well, we never need to move this, would we? Can't put it low, because then you're not going to be able to, yeah, you could get it off. You could spin it off and put it on. You'll be able to move it. You'll be able to spin that off and get a new one on. That's going to make us some more room. That's what we need. Alright guys, so now I got everything mounted up, battery trays, I got the fuse panel, the bus bars, the charging relay in its spot, the battery charger's mounted. So we're gonna do a little something different than I thought I was gonna do when I started, and that's kind of the way a lot of projects go. You start doing them and you figure out you like something else different. So we're gonna mount the battery switch up over here out of the way to be nice for running wire, and also it's going to allow him to remove this panel that I took off this morning without having to disconnect this battery switch, and he can leave everything connected. So now that we got all that figured out, we're going to mount this switch, and then we can start running wire cutting it to length and making up our battery cables and everything. So check that out, and I'll show you how all the wiring goes in. That's good. So we're going to put in our battery charger receptacle plug over here. All right, so we're going to install our Noco marine charger outlet right here, the receptacle. This is where your extension cord will plug in and hook up your battery charger. So we're going to put this out of the way at a nice little neat spot. We're going to put it over here and run the battery charger there. So I'm going to drill the hole. Requires an 1 7/8" hole saw for that. So I'm going to drill the hole and then we'll wire it up. Now, you will void your warranty on your battery charger by doing this, but I prefer the hardwired receptacle plug over the one that's basically just a plug-in in the back. This is going to hold up better over time, so it would be a good idea to test to make sure your battery charger works correctly before you cut it off, in case there was a problem and you needed to return it or send it back. But these are the better way to go, hardwire it in. Yeah, it's a really simple 3-wire connection. It's color coded, so it's pretty easy to do. Just strip back the outer jacket here. That got a black, a green, and a white. A lot of people go the other route because it's just easier and maybe they're more comfortable. That's fine, but I do prefer these charger receptacles from Noco. There'll be 3 screws inside the cap, so be careful when you're opening it. They'll fall out. Sometimes they can get lost. But on the back of there's a green, a black, and a nothing, which is a white. So you just put the wire in each one. Green wire, black wire, white wire. It's that simple. Put the nut on the inside. You're gonna put the boot on the inside. Then stick the wire through the hole. And we're gonna tighten it up. Twist your ends. Green, black, white. Just check in and make sure that you're not pinched down on the actual that you're pinched down on the actual wire and not the insulation, because it does happen sometimes. And the thing about these is you actually put it upside down from what looks to be like a normal plug, and that's because there's a drain hole in case any moisture gets into here. There's a drain hole here, and that's the bottom. So it actually makes it easier to plug in with the ground prong up a little higher. Put that on there. Put your nut. Okay, so now it's time to wire charging relay, the battery isolator, ACR, whatever you want to call it. We're gonna wire that up. This one here is super simple. It's a 3-wire connection. The red post right here, that goes to your cranking battery, and positive, and then this other one here goes to your house battery or second battery, positive, and then this wire gets connected to a ground. That's really all there is. I run 8 gauge for it, and you can pop out the sides here whichever way you want to come out of this thing, but you have to put the wires on first, and then you put the back on, and then screw it to the board, transom, wherever you're going to mount it. So we're going to do that, and then this thing is going to charge no matter what position the battery switch is in. It's going to charge when the main motor is running. Obviously the battery switch has to be on or the engine won't start, but when that's on, it's going to charge both batteries. It's going to keep them both charged. It'll charge the cranking battery first until the cranking battery reaches right here 13.3 volts. So once the cranking battery reaches 13.3 volts, this is going to switch over, and it's going to start charging your second battery. It's going to charge the second battery until it's full, or until the cranking battery drops below 12.8 volts, and then it's going to switch back over to the crank battery if it gets below 12.8, and then it'll keep switching back and forth between, keeping both batteries charged the whole time you're on the water running the big motor. Those just pop out like that. But I'm going to take this section out right here because I'm going to run 8 gauge wire. It's a little bigger. It's going to carry the current a little better. So I'm going to run that. So I'm going to take that out. Like so. This is just 8 gauge marine, Ancor marine wire. You can pick it up at West Marine or Amazon. Matter of fact, most everything in my videos, I try to link to Amazon. And if you guys go through those links, it helps the channel out. So if you see anything on any of my videos you like or you want to buy and do the project like that, then please check the description and use the links, and it helps the channel. I would appreciate it. Crank. I made a mark on it just so I know when I got it on there which one was the crank and which one was the house battery. Always make sure everything's really ventilated before you go using a torch in the bilge area, just in case you have some fuel vapors in there. I mean, that's the fuel line and all that kind of stuff. But if you're working in an IO or anywhere that's an enclosed space, make sure there's not any fuel vapors or anything in there, or at least make sure to get it on camera. I use that to mark the center of the hole I need to drill. You need to use a 2.5 inch hole saw, and you're still probably gonna have to do just a little bit of reaming on it. Just a little bit of reaming, not much. It's almost fitting. I kind of walk the hole saw around so it kind of opens up the hole a little bit as you're going in, but I'm still gonna have to do a little bit of filing and reaming there. Yep. If you're gonna be through bolting it, like I am, through some aluminum or something like that, something thin, I'm using 2.5 inch number 10 by 24 thread stainless steel bolts. That'll get you perfectly through the back of this and keep it nice and protected. show you here. Add that in. This is the perfect length to go through and still have some thread out the other side, and that to go in like that. So number 10, 24 thread, and 2.5 inch long. I picked those up at Ace Hardware, if you have a local hardware store you like. So real simple, real quick here. Position 1, that's going to be the crank battery. You're going to run one main power from this to your crank positive. Position 2, that's going to go to the house battery, deep cycle. That's going to go to that positive. And then the output is going to have wires running to the positive bus bar. And then off of that positive bus bar, you're going to have everything else branching off of that for the fuse panel and everything else. So that's what's going to come off of that. Also the engine positive is going to be off the output, and the kicker positive is going to be off the output, the main engine battery cables. So make sure those all go off of the output. The kicker and the engine are going to be off of the output, the main battery cables. For the positive, the negatives are going to go to the battery. So we're going to put that in. Can't put that on yet. Gotta go through that. Let it go. That's the main engine positive. Here's the kicker. Okay. These pop out. It's gonna be close. Oh man. I don't think you can get much closer than that. Well, Mike, you got lucky. Just made it. Just made it. The last of my roll. Gotta reorder. And that is gonna go there when we are ready. It's gonna be our positive connection to the positive bus, and then our fuse panel is gonna be powered off the other end of the bus. It's got its 30 amp breaker for the fuse panel. So, all right, now let's put that panel back in its place. Gotta make my negatives. Now we're gonna put the crank battery in. All right, guys, well, that's gonna wrap it up. I hope you guys got something out of this video here. It's a little different seeing it in the boat. Like I said, I have the other video with it outside the boat on the plywood board that I made, but this is it in action and how you'd want to wire it all up. If you guys have any questions about anything on this video or any of my other videos, I try to answer all the questions that I can. I get a lot of questions now, so if I don't get to you, please bear with me. I'll try to get to you as soon as I can. But that's how it goes. That's a dual battery system: battery switch, battery charger, battery isolator, charging relay, positive bus, negative bus, and a fuse panel, all installed in the back of this aluminum weld sled right here for my buddy Mike. And it's gonna be nice for him out sturgeon fishing and salmon fishing and trolling. He won't have to worry about draining his batteries down and running lights and all kinds of different stuff you can do out there. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys on the next one.